Greetings, this is the Instrument Sidekick video for all the instruments. How do we know not to play? How do we know when not to play? It's for all the instruments. All of you have a page somewhere that looks like this, just different page numbers. Okay, so up till now, we've learned how to play whole notes. Some of you dotted half notes, quarter notes, and eighth notes. You've learned how to tap them, how to play them. So eighth notes, T, 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 T. Quarter notes, ta, 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 ta. Half notes, ta, ta. And whole notes, ta. Okay? All those are over here. But now you need to know how long not to play. So instead of notes, instead of circles telling you to play a certain amount of time, you have different shapes called rests that tell you not to play for a certain amount of time. Because it gets boring if you have everybody playing all the time, all the same stuff, right? So you're going to have like moments where sometimes you have to rest. Sometimes you're going to want to rest. All right? But how long to do that? Well, you're going to still keeping a beat with your foot. You're going to be keeping tapping with your foot. Now, for every rhythm that you've learned so far, knowing how long to play a note, there is an equivalent rest, which means the same amount of time not to play. All right? So, for instance, over here, we have this guy. Now, if you remember, that's called a whole note. Very good. So, whole notes get 4 beats. Now, over here, this is a rest. This rest right here, this little rectangle, okay, that tells you it's a whole rest. Whole note, whole rest. Whole notes get 4 beats. Whole rests get 4 beats, okay? So, over here it says, what's their name, okay? So, it's a bit like if you have, like, 2 people, let's say, my first name's clearly Mr., So you have, like, Mr. Archie and Mr. Someone else, Mr. Smith, all right? Then what name do they share? Mr. Very good. So, you know what I mean. So, it could be, like, Jenny so-and-so and Jenny so-and-so. What name do they share? Jenny, okay? This is a whole note. This is a whole rest. Their name is both whole, okay? One's a note. One's a rest. Okay, a note and a rest. But both of their names are whole. So that's what you have to write there. And I'm going to check the spelling on that when we have our class, okay? Because spelling is important. Because the word whole, meaning whole note, is spelled differently than the hole, meaning digging a hole in the ground. And that makes a difference. So spelling really is important. All right, now down here, we have another rhythm. Okay, you have to remember what the name of that rhythm is and how many beats it gets. Over here, you have the equivalent rest. You have to know, therefore, that that's got the same name, but rest instead of the word note. And right over here, the name they share. Okay, so taking out the word note or rest and the name they share, and put that here. Then you got to do the same with these notes and these rests, and these notes and these rests, putting down here, and over here, all their stuff. And you have to know, even though there isn't a spot to write it down, you have to know their values, okay? So you have to know what's a 4-beat note, what's a 2-beat note, what's a 4-beat rest, what's a 2-beat rest, okay? And these particular rests right here are very, very similar in how they look, okay? So they're both rectangles, and it's really kind of hard to tell on this video, maybe if we get like really close, okay? There are similarities. They both happen to be rectangles, but there is a difference, okay? So, I'm going to test you to see if you can tell the difference. You have to figure out the difference because when you see a rectangle on the page, you're going to have to know how many beats you have to rest, and therefore you have to be able to tell that slight difference really, really quickly so you're tapping the right number of beats not to play. So, it's very much play for a certain amount of time than not playing for a certain amount of time. Okay, so this page isn't something you play. It is something that you have to fill out, use a pencil, because I will be checking and you may have gotten wrong spellings. You may have written something wrong and thought it was right, but maybe it was wrong, and you're going to need to be able to erase and put that stuff down. And I will test you on I'll be checking on the spelling. I'll be checking that you know all the correct names based on your previous experience. What's the name of the rhythm here? Therefore, what's the name of the rest over on this end? Would have the same name. So making sure you got all your names, you remember them all, what all their values are. I'm going to be checking all that in our next class. So work on that and still practice everything else. And may the force be with you.